Hello and welcome to the Alex Gem Experience podcast. Today's session, again, we are absolutely spoiled. Today we are joined by the amazing, the talented Abby, an amazing personal trainer, completely inspirational, great knowledge, and I can't wait to pick his brains, really. So we've got 3 incredible topics to discuss today, starting off with a fitness section, really. Then we'll dive into some of the essentials, some current topics that we're dealing with in society. And lastly, we'll touch upon discipline, organisation, how to make the most of our potential, how to become essentially more disciplined, more productive, and so on and so forth. So let's dive in the first section. Firstly, welcome, Abby, again.
Yeah, well, welcome, man. Nice. Thanks for having me back again. Great experience last week.
Yeah.
We've had some really good feedback. It's just great to be back here again. I've got the bug, mate. I'm addicted again.
Yeah,
I'm addicted.
It's a good bug this time,
it's
right?
It's a good bug, yeah.
It's the bug that we want to spread. But we'll leave that there for now.
That's right.
For now, at least we'll leave that there. So, speaking of which, that's a nice segue for us in terms of the importance of being healthy.
Right. Okay. So, one of the things I've always said to people is that the weak don't survive. And what I mean when I say that is that people who are strong, people who look after themselves, people who train, people who eat well, who rest their body, inevitably at some point in your life, you're gonna come across some kind of illness. It's just facts of life. Now, those of us that look after ourselves, that make ourselves strong, fortify our bodies, are the ones that are generally in better shape to deal with encountering any of these diseases that might come along with age. Yeah. You know, as you get into your 50s, your 60s, or your 40s, if you're a bit younger, you're susceptible to some kind of diseases. So I always say the weak don't survive, meaning that if you haven't fortified your body, through going to the gym, nutritionally, etc., when these moments do hit you, you're going to be on the floor, as we like to say. You're going to find it a lot more difficult to deal with these things. So essentially what you're doing is you're fortifying yourself. All the things that we do by looking after ourselves through the health and fitness mediums, we're fortifying our body for what potentially could happen.
Yeah.
Not necessarily how you look. The aesthetics that I always tell people is what happens after. That's
secondary.
That's secondary.
Yeah.
That's a byproduct
Yeah.
of what we're doing.
Yeah, I totally agree. And just to touch upon some of the things that you said, I mean, laying reference to my personal lifestyle, I mean, I actually train and eat in ways that I'm eating and training as if I'm already 60, 70, 80 years old in many ways. And the same goes to like the way I like my business, the way I invest, the way I think. I'm always thinking long term.
That's correct.
How will things look when I get to 60, 70, 80, 90 if we are fortunate enough to live that long, and so on and so forth. So I'm a bit pedantic, a bit, excessive at times. Yeah. But it's because I want to get into those habits so that when I do get older, I've got the right disciplines, the right practices in place. Again,
going back to some of the statements, some of the things, the slogans we use in the class, you'll always hear me say, you get out what you put in. So essentially, if you're putting all this hard work in, the result is going to be yours later on down the line.
Yes.
If I just touch on a bit of nutrition, just quickly, if I may. When I look at diet, for instance, diet that I know that's going to basically help me physically and mentally, the food I eat is not necessarily the food I like. I've forced myself, I know we're going a bit off topic here, but I've forced myself to like certain foods because they're good for me. So what I'm doing is I'm saying, this is actually good for me, so I have to find a way to enjoy this. It's like an athlete's mentality, whereby we see food as fuel rather than, most people will turn around and say, I don't like that, so I'm not going to eat it. So you prefer to go and eat something that is going to have no nutritional value whatsoever. It's doing nothing for you. It's not going to, as you said, help you within the future. You're not thinking long term. You're thinking extremely short term with this food. For instance, I'll give you an example. I used to hate broccoli. I used to hate kale. Kale took me a long while. Brown rice, all of these things that are so healthy for you is things that I've had to train myself to enjoy because I'm thinking long term, not short term. Yeah. Now I went off track a little bit there.
No, you're tackling some of the most fundamental things that not only impact our physical shape, our physical health, but that really because you're touching upon something really important here, and it's the importance of doing the things that you don't want to do, but that you need to do.
There you go.
And
that
this
was
is
the point I was trying to make.
applicable to our careers,
That's right.
our wealth. This is applicable to our energy levels, our productivity. Like, no one necessarily enjoys, making sure you sleep between 7 to 9 hours every single night. It's not sexy.
It's boring. It's boring. Who wants to do that?
I'm turning into a grandpa over here, but I'm sleeping and I feel great.
Yeah, that's right.
But do you know what I mean?
That's right.
And I write about this in my book as well. Another beautiful segue from here. The six-pack mind. You can
Make
get
sure
that.
you go get it. I said it last week. You need to get the thing, man.
Get this thing on Amazon. You'll love it. You can also get it at www.alexgemstore.com. But anyway,
That's inspirational, man. I want to be able to say that one day.
You'll be very soon. Very soon. You're on the right track for sure.
Nicely, bro.
But one of the things I wanted to say, because you touch upon the importance of when you're eating like the broccoli, your kale, the brown rice, that you didn't necessarily like it all that time ago. But what you've done, Abby, you've found the way to manipulate yourself to change your perspective, and I've done that as well.
Yes.
And it's a form of NLP, and it's using certain vocabulary and images in your mind that make you either want to eat these foods or put you off. For example, when I look at a big bowl of salad, for example, a lot of people look at that and go, how boring.
Of course.
I don't want that anywhere near me.
Of
give me
course.
the fries, give me the kebab, give me the pizza,
right.
give me the good stuff. Come on, who are we mucking about?
The stuff that you're telling yourself that you want.
Yeah, but it's about using vocabulary in your mind. For example, the average person, how would you describe eating a salad? How would you describe broccoli?
That's right.
It'll be disgusting broccoli, some people, you know what I mean? They'll use emotive words and associate it with these foods, and it's just not sexy. It doesn't turn them on.
They're looking for short-term gratification. So you eat a burger and fries, you feel good for 5 minutes, but then if you're actually thinking, what is this burger and fries doing for me?
Yes.
Your mind will then turn you away and say, I can't eat that. You must be crazy, because I'm a gym man. I need to go and do this spin class. I need to go and do muscle ups. I need to be able to go and box. So how can I eat that burger and fries? How's that burger and fries going to help me?
Yeah.
It's not. It's actually a negative.
Bloated, exhausted. You're not going to want to train. You're going to want to chill out more and just stay in the house.
No matter how nice it tastes, I'm looking at what is it doing for me. What am I getting out of this experience?
And now we've gone full circle, because at the start I said it's about thinking long term. It's about knowing and being self-reflective, kind of, because when you do pig out and have that pizza or that burger and chips, you know how you feel for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours afterwards.
That's right.
You know the damage you're doing.
150%.
So when I see those kind of meals, don't get me wrong, I indulge in a treat meal once a week, once every 10 days. But in saying that, when I look at these meals, I see fat. Like how it would look scientifically if you were to see fat, that yellow, thick, pudgy nut. So when I look at a burger, I see that nastiness, and I imagine it in my body. I'm like, no.
Yeah, and a lot of people, once you become part of the fitness movement, part of the fitness world, you start thinking about, what benefits you and what does not benefit you. And that's what you're looking for. You're looking for the benefits out of a situation, which in life, you should be looking for the beneficial situation in your life. Everywhere you look, it should be that.
Like your friends, your acquaintances, where you work, your job, your purpose, all these things. Yeah.
I mean, moving on, because we've had a few requests of people talking about, nutrition for training and hydrating and all the rest of that kind of stuff. So, guys, the bog standard is 2 litres of water a day, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the bog standard. That's like the industry standard. But we can go to 4 litres of water a day. It depends on you. But definitely you need to rehydrate after heavy exercise, after heavy perspiration. You need to be hydrated. Water with a high pH level. We're drinking some nice Turkish water now that I've shown you.
Oh, yeah.
And this is what counts. Okay, this is what counts. Stay away from those sugary drinks that tell you they're going to do all the madness for you and all the rest of it. Yeah. You got to look at, you got to be, 28-day challenges. I'm going to plug that. I do a great 28-day challenge, guys. And
tell us about it. Tell us about
the 28-day challenge, we've got one coming up soon. It's all about 28 days, 21 days it takes to form a habit. What we do is we deal with dieting, we deal with a mental, we deal with everything towards your health and fitness, and we drum it into you. We've got PT sessions, we've got consultations, we've got a lot of stuff that goes on. And one of the things that I drum into people during our consultation is about food labelling. So, people used to look at me, or well, not so much now, but they used to look at me like a nerd when I'm at the supermarket and I'm one of those guys, when I pick up something, I look at the back and I'm looking at how much sugar's in there, how much saturated fats in there, how much salt's in there, and I'm looking at everything that I'm buying, because a lot of these times when you're looking at products that stay healthy on the front, they are actually the opposite.
Yeah, speaking of that, we're completely going off tangent.
I know we are.
When you look at the label, they've got so many different terms for sugar.
That's
and
right.
The thing is, people kind of manipulate themselves, because if they don't see sugar directly spelt that way, in that way,
I know.
they'll think it's
Fructose.
acceptable.
There's all this
glucose syrup, sucralose, all those terms, and
Right.
they don't, because they don't know it, they deem it to be fine to have, and it's completely not.
Well, I tell you this now. This is just, we're gonna, there's a segue here for me, because I put out some posts on my Instagram story today about Whole Foods and about cooking and about with the situation that we're in now. Guys, it's very imperative now in this time, especially with all what's going on now. Whole Foods is the way forward. Cooking food from scratch. I know it takes a long time, but at the end of the day, if you want to be 100% beneficial to yourself, you need to know what's going inside your body. So you need to know that if you're cooking, a spaghetti bolognese from scratch with the tomatoes and the onions, it might take that little bit of time. But again, how valuable is your health to you?
Yes.
That's the question that you've got to ask yourself. What value do you place upon that extra half an hour or hour that it's going to take you to prepare a meal? Or essentially, when you go out to buy food from anybody else, from a restaurant, from a shop, you're putting your health in someone else's hands every time you do that.
You know what drives me crazy, Abby? It's people's priorities. And people, they might not admit it, but I look at people's behaviours rather than what they say.
Yeah, of course.
Do you know what I mean?
150%.
And
150%.
I know a lot of people who put money above health.
Right.
A lot of people who put time above health.
150%, my friend. I mean, I made a statement in today's class, and we're going to slide into the coronavirus here because it's applicable. And I mentioned in class this morning, I said, look at what's happening now. How important is your car to you now? How important is your house to you now? The coronavirus is what is on everybody's brain, and everybody thinks they're going to die. So now once your health, once self-preservation becomes the major objective, everything else doesn't matter anymore. But before that, when you think you're okay, you think you're going to live forever. So as far as you're concerned, I don't have to worry about it. I'll worry about that later. But every day that you don't think about this, every time you make a wrong decision, you're leaving your health and your fitness and your nutrition in the hands of someone else.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing. You've got to own it and take responsibility for your own journey. Otherwise, who are you going to blame?
I link it to again.
We're going in today.
This is serious, man.
We're going in.
Woo, I need to stretch before this podcast. I'm ready for this.
I'm ready for this today,
But you know what? It says, it seems quite humorous, but it's true. Some people, they claim to be religious, for example.
Right.
And then they only say a prayer or wish for something, like if they're on their deathbed,
if things are going
or
wrong.
if someone's
so
about
it's
to
not
die.
true faith. There you go.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They turn to it as a last resort. And that's what's happening here. A lot of people are at a last resort here with the coronavirus, for example.
150%.
And now people are like, shit, I need to pay attention to what I'm eating. Oh my God, why have I been diabetic for so long? I could be in jeopardy. But you need to show that urgency all the time.
Yeah,
you can't wait until it's too late.
150%. I mean, people are, their level of personal hygiene has been terrible. And now all of a sudden, that's why we're having all this crisis. Because people are thinking, I've got to get hand sanitizer, I've got to get this, I've got to get that, I've got to get all this kind of jazz. But at the end of the day, the bottom line is, you should have been doing all that stuff anyway. You should have been washing your hands anyway. You should have had the hand sanitizer anyway. It's now that your back's against the wall, you think to yourself, washing your hands now is gonna solve the problem. Yeah. But what it is it needs to be a lifestyle. It needs to be a way of life. It needs to be habitual. It needs to be something that you do on automatic.
Yes.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Because what's going to happen? Okay, this whole drama is going to go away. People are going to go back to their normal pattern of life. Now, I urge people to use this to search for the positive out of a negative situation. What's happening there is we've got all this negativity about this coronavirus, all this stuff's going on, and it's pushing people to live the way that they're supposed to be living. So now the positive is, are you going to continue this once this virus is gone out the window? Yeah. Or are you going to go back to your own or your normal way of life? Yeah. And most people, it's like a thing like this. We was having a conversation with my brother earlier. We'll say, imagine you go to a public toilet and you go use the toilet. You see people walking out without washing their hands.
Yeah.
You witness it and you look at them thinking, oh my God. That's the norm. That's the normality. You go to a festival in the summertime, you go to the toilets, you think, did humans use these toilets? That's what you think to yourself. And that's how it is.
Yeah. It's called the law of familiarity.
There you go.
And you know what? This is the sort of thing that drives me mad as well, Ab, because this should be a leverage point for people.
Right.
The coronavirus, whether it lasts for a couple of months, a year, if it becomes a seasonal issue, like, we don't know, obviously. But the problem I'm going to have is how we react if and when it subsides or dissipates, right? Because a lot of people should use this as a wake-up call.
100%.
You know, if they survive,
If
it wasn't a fatal thing for them or their loved ones, this should be the wake-up call. That moment in their life where they have that breakthrough moment, they go, you know what? From now on, I'm going to be a new person. I'm going to eat more healthily. I'm going to exercise more. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to sleep well. I'm going to have the right supplementation.
Yep.
I'm going to hang around with the right people. I'm going to get a mentor. All these sorts of things.
Yep.
But it's not.
Yeah, I just want to throw this in here. Look, this is the coronavirus. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not a doctor, but I've been watching all the shows. I've spoken to people in the medical profession. Okay, so this is my point of view. This is like the normal flu epidemic that we have every single year. It's killing the same amount of people, more or less. Okay, it's not something that's like, oh my God, this is crazy. It's just been blown up out of all proportion.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So now that it has, and now that the world is going crazy, as you said, we have to look for the positive. Well, as I said, we've got to look for the positive out of this negative situation. So if the positive is going to be that people's level of hygiene is going to increase, people are going to start thinking about their diet, people are going to start thinking about their health and fitness, then actually it's a fantastic wake-up call for everyone.
Oh, it certainly will be. Well, hopefully. But the things with me, what I've conditioned myself to do, Abby, is that when something like this kicks off, I've taught myself to do the complete opposite as to what the masses do, what the followers do.
That's
you
correct.
touched upon that earlier as well. So when everyone's like running
Yeah.
and in desperation, for example,
That's
I'm doing
right.
the opposite.
That's right.
I'm now investing in different shares and
Yeah,
things of that
100%.
sort. You know, when people are
You're an
selling this and that,
entrepreneur.
that's when I'm
You're
buying.
an
But it's
entrepreneur.
not just applicable to that. I mean, I live my life that way. Most
That's right.
people go day to day living in chronic stress, in
Yeah.
survival mode.
Yeah.
You know, it's quite popular to only sleep 4 or 5 hours a
That's
day, these
correct.
sort of things. And
Yeah.
I like to do the complete opposite to
That's
the
right.
masses.
Well, just to interject there, like we discussed last week, you know, majority of people are followers. They follow the crowd. Majority of people, they do something because they see somebody else doing it. And they're afraid to stand out and be their own individual. And that's essentially what's going on here. We've got mass hysteria and people are not thinking. A lot of people do not choose to educate themselves. So they approach the situation with an uneducated mind. You see it. I was in the supermarket yesterday shopping and I could see uneducated people running around doing nonsense, buying processed foods, okay? And I'm looking at them and thinking to myself, if you fall sick, you're going to eat that pizza that you bought for £1 or $1.99 or whatever it is, and you've left all the vegetables that are going to heal you, and you think that these oven chips and pizza is going to save you.
Yeah.
You're uneducated. You've just shown me you're totally uneducated in the way of life. So
But
you're
then
a
again, they're
follower.
putting price above health again in many ways, because those sort of canned foods tend to be quite cheap in comparison to some organic
Well,
choices.
no, because at the end of the day, I hear that argument, but still, again, going back to the Whole Foods situation and cooking from scratch, okay, it does not have to be that expensive. I mean, I grew up, again, I'm going to touch on my Nigerian heritage, you know, my mum had 4 kids and she had to feed us, you know, and back then, you know, money wasn't everywhere. So how do you feed a family of 6 on a low budget? You cook Whole Foods.
Yeah.
You know, you cook a pot of stew and you cook some stuff that everyone can eat off. But essentially, we probably had the best diet that we could have had because it was whole food. It was nothing
Plant-based,
processed.
yeah,
it was
organic
it was fresh
Natural
tomatoes
from the ground,
It
from
was
the
from
tree,
the ground and it was
fruits,
made from
yeah.
scratch.
Yeah.
Whereas those my peers who I've grown up with now, when I look at them, they're not as strong as what I am. They can't do what I do. And people say, oh, it's genetics. No, it's
habit.
It's habit. It's the food that you've been putting into your system from day one.
Yes.
And that's what makes the difference. You know, I've been at this, I've been training for 30 years now. My diet is always, when I look at it, my West African diet has always been essentially whole foods.
Yeah.
You know, and it's only when you start diverting into eating foods from this civilized culture, let's say, that you start losing that strength.
It's an addiction. People don't like to admit that they're addicted to things, but people are addicted to all sorts of things, like even caffeine or alcohol or illicit drugs or sugar, for example. When you're used to eating these kind of foods, it shouldn't be illegal, dude.
Well.
You know what I mean? That's we'll save that for another podcast.
That's a whole other. Don't get me started on sugar, mate. Don't get me started.
So I know we've spoken so much about hydration.
Yeah, I
know. This is a good problem we have here. But let's go full circle. Let's kind of take several steps back here.
Go ahead.
Let's go back to hydration because people genuinely want to know what to be having when they're training. And I'm sticking to the kind of theme that has resonated throughout this podcast so far. I am all about simplicity.
Exactly.
So I don't faff around with all these kind of flamboyant drinks. Yes,
right.
Electrolytes are useful, but in saying that as well, Abby, I like to train on a fasted state. You said it several times as well.
It works.
Because your body is just searching for what it can use, and if you haven't eaten several hours before you train, your body is forced to utilize the current energy, the current fat stores within your body.
That's right.
And that's why I have like a plain black coffee, if you will, or maybe a green tea, but to be honest, like a black coffee is more than enough for me.
It won't break your fast, but coffee or green tea.
Caffeine, but before workout has been scientifically proven to improve alertness, how much you push yourself, you're able to withstand more pain, if you will, during your workout, to push through those barriers. And you're more focused, you're more alert, you're more in the zone, you enjoy the workout more. So I don't know about your intake. I stick to water, black coffee. There are no games. I don't break my fast. Maybe a couple of hours after my workout, I'll start to get into the electrolytes if I need to. Tell me your thoughts.
My thoughts on this are, I'm a very firm believer that the industry has been governed by health and safety. So what it is that we've got these health and safety issues that people say, don't eat. 2 hours before the gym, you've got to make sure you do this, you've got to make sure you have this amount of water. Everybody's an individual. For instance, I'll give you an example. In the army, when you're training, you'll get your chow down, you've got 15 minutes to get up, and then you're on a 10-mile hike with all your kit on. So therefore, that health, because they're pushing their bodies to that limit, that health and safety is out the window. So that eating 2 hours before, which we're told that you've got to tell the client, I can train 20 minutes after I've eaten. I can do it because I've trained myself. But for the health and safety, because you don't want anybody to get in trouble, you don't know who you're talking to, you've got to follow these guidelines. You've got to follow these guidelines. Right. So we've got to tell you that you've got to take your water on, you've got to stay hydrated, you've got to do all these things. But I come from a boxing background, and in a boxing background, my trainer would say, you're not getting any water because you ain't done nothing yet. And then I'd have to push through. So that's between me and him. And we've got that arrangement. But I can't say on a platform that's going to go out to everyone, to people of different needs and different fitness levels, that's the way you should, medical backgrounds, that's the way you should go. But what I'm saying is everyone's an individual, and it's all down to you what you're looking for. Of course you must stay hydrated, and if you're feeling weak for any workout, then obviously take the water on. But it's on an individual basis, and I'm just saying that from my own personal point of view. It's some of my clients will train with me, and you're going to listen to this, they're going to know. I will tell them, what do you mean you're getting what we're talking about? No, you ain't done nothing yet. And they will push through. But that's not something I would deal with everybody. That's on a one-to-one individual basis. So with regards to hydration, as I said, water, I train on a fasted state also. My intake of water is limited to after my workout, after I've sweated it out. You've got to replace those electrolytes, you do. But for me, water is the liquid to be drinking.
I also
high pH level.
Yes, of course. I also ingest L-carnitine as a supplement. Great for performance. Doesn't break your fast, but BCAAs will break your fast. It's great, especially if you're doing hypertrophy training, like exercise.
Well, you've got to stay under 50 grams. I'm not sure exactly. I don't want to put it out there. But BCAA won't break your fast if you stay within a certain limit. I'm not exactly sure about it, what the limit is, but I know it doesn't. It's been shown not to break your fast as long as you don't overdo it. With the BCAA.
I totally agree.
BCAA works for me when I'm fasting because sometimes I do 24-hour fast and 36-hour fast, and I'm trying to induce autophagy. But again, that's another podcast about all of that kind of stuff.
I've done that, my friend, but we will do that again.
That's another
and
one.
Speaking of survival of the fittest, that's what happens, guys. See, you've woken up the beast now. Jeez.
Woo!
Oh my God, you're going to be all night long.
Listen, mate, he's moving. We're moving.
Let's just move on.
Yeah,
I don't even want to start it.
Don't even touch that,
I
bro.
don't want to touch.
You gotta leave that. You gotta leave that.
Subject.
That's
please.
the next subject matter
Next
in itself. You
subject,
see, you light off. Remember that, people. Autophagy. Go and Google it and see the benefits, and we'll come back and touch that on another day.
I'm literally biting my lip because I want to talk about it.
I know.
All right, let's move on. So I want to talk about how people... Actually, when you were talking, an idea popped in my mind. You were talking about the fact that you don't need to drink much water during your workouts and so on and so forth. But what you've done, Abby, over time, whether you knowingly or unknowingly, what you've done is you've overcome some limiting beliefs that you've had.
100%.
For example, some people feel like they have to have a coffee for a workout in order to function well. Some people think they have to drink a lot of water or break a fast in order to train and to not faint or any of that talk.
But that's down to your processes and procedures rather than what you actually physically have to do. Because you can train yourself. Some people will get up in the morning and they can't function without having a coffee because they've trained themselves to be like that.
Well, there's an addiction as well.
And they've got, but you've got to go for it. Yeah, there is an addiction side of it, but you can go through a process to change that.
Of course. And
it's whether or not you've got the willpower or the want to do it. A lot of people, you can overcome anything you want to do. Anything you want to do, you can do. It's whether you want it.
You've got to turn your shoulds into must. That's what
100%.
So if it's a should for you to abstain from having coffee, caffeine, or whatever it is in your life, even if it's unrelated to health, it's down to you. Is it a must? Is it a must for you to eat healthily? Is it a must for you to exercise? And that's the problem we face. We don't have enough time to do everything in our lives, but we have to have key priorities.
I will just turn around and say that's why we get on so well, because my clients, you know this, I say this to you, that if you make, just like you just said, healthy eating a must, you make turn up for your PT session a must, you make coming to spin a must, okay? You must get a result. But if I've got kids, I have to feed them. That's a must. That's what a must is. I have to eat food or I'm going to die. That's a must.
Do you find a way to get these things done?
You have to.
Because it's a must. It's a must.
If it's a maybe, coulda, woulda, shoulda type of situation, then what will happen is...
Inconsistency.
There you go.
Or nothing at all.
So, if you want anything to happen, you got... Listen, we've started on this, embarked on this journey, this spin journey. Plug in the spin again, 6:15 a.m. Spin Army, you're done now, right? Listen, to me, it's a must for me to turn up to that class. There's no if, buts, or maybe. It's a must that I must come and deliver. Just like it's a must that I must eat. So hence why people ask me, how do you create the energy? Because in my head, it's a must. There's no other alternative. Yes. And once you make it a must, your brain automatically works it out for you. Yes. Because no doubt is allowed to enter your head. With a must.
You've broken through in these capacities so often that you've developed resilience and confidence that you can do it. For example, if something's new to someone, for instance, intermittent fasting, autophagy, dry fasting, for example,
that's right.
Not exercising on a continual basis, these sort of things, you'll listen to your brain put you off.
Of course.
Like, how many times do I wake up and it's a must for me to come to your class because I know the benefits, for example.
Yeah, 100%.
But every now and then I'll wake up and I'll
welcome.
think, I come up with all kinds of excuses in my mind. I've got to work on my business. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. I don't feel up to it. I'm sore. I've been training too much. Take it easy. I'll come up with these things. But because I'm used to breaking through that pattern, and it's your unconscious working against yourself. It wants to keep you safe. It wants to keep you within the familiar.
But also, I'm just going to cut you there.
Go on.
You put a high importance on your health and fitness.
Yes.
So how you rate your health and fitness is up here. You understand what you're doing. So because of that, it allows you to look at that and go, for me, health and fitness is the number one thing in my life.
But I also preempt when I'm going to try and psych myself out or self-sabotage my success.
Yeah, of course.
And these sort of things. I know that I'll sometimes wake up and think, you know what, I wouldn't mind sleeping an extra hour. Yeah, I'm ready for that to come into my mind. And then I'm ready to beat it, if you will, and to get out of bed and to go and get the day going the right way.
Consistency is key. And once you've got that habit, once you form that habit, what has to happen is it has to be something very serious for you to break that habit, because you know that once you break the habit, you've told yourself that you can break the habit. And therefore you said to yourself, it's okay, it's acceptable for me not to turn up. And once your brain will always look for excuses.
50 Shades of Doubt.
Right. And once you give into that excuse, what will happen is it'll say, right, okay, thank you. We've got an excuse now. And it'll start working on that excuse. Right, Ali, you didn't turn up today. Right, tomorrow it'll be like, well, you didn't turn up yesterday. Yeah. So why should we go today? Yeah. And your brain will start talking to you.
And you know what? This is the perfect segue for the third section of this, because it's about discipline, organisation, consistently doing the right things on a regular basis. And you just smashed it without inadvertently here.
Yep.
You that's the nail on the head. Is that the right way, man?
Anyway, hit the nail on the head. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you got it right, bro.
You know what I mean, guys.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what we're facing here. When you break your own promise to yourself, it becomes easier to break that promise in the future.
Or you don't see yourself as serious. So look at it like this. Let's change it around. If somebody made a promise to you, if I said to you, I'm going to turn up, guys, and do this big class tomorrow, and I didn't turn up.
You're not a man in your word.
Right. So how are you going to look at me the day after if you don't know me? How are you going to see me? You're going to say, do you think that I'm going to turn up, or you believe in me, or have you lost a sense of belief?
What I'll do is, you're probably still a nice guy, things are happening in your life, I think this guy can break.
Right, he can break. Yeah. So now what you got to do is turn it around and put it back onto yourself, because that's essentially what you're doing. Yes. You're breaking your own promise to yourself, and what you're doing is, because it's internalized and no one else can see it, it's now acceptable to you.
Yes,
it's an acceptable breakdown of that trust, of that level.
So when you start the diets, or you start a new training program, or you something changed in your life, you know it's good for you.
Yeah.
What will happen is once you let yourself down, you've now lost that trust within yourself, and it links to our self-esteem.
That's right.
Discipline. Another synonym for discipline is self-esteem.
Because you see yourself as a failure. That's what you do. And what you do is internally you're telling yourself you're a failure because you know you failed.
And in future, that's what I was meant to say previously. In future, when you start a new diet, a new eating program, a new training program, you won't believe in yourself. You're not going to take yourself seriously, like you just said, because you backed out in the past.
Yeah, that's right. And that's essentially where people like myself in my field who are good at their job, that's where we come in, because we are all like that. And I'll let you into a little secret, guys. I'm a PT. I've been training people for many, many years, but I also have a PT. I also have a guy, his name's Alex, the baddest trainer about people, and he's somebody that I have to respect. So I respect him, and he can kick my ass. And what will happen is I'm only human, so I get it. You know, when I need to push to the wall, I go to him because he will push me to the wall. So guys, what will happen is, you doubt yourself. And you know that you doubt yourself, and you know that you've got that doubt in your head. That's where I come in. Because when I'm running around the class or in a PT session and I'm saying, no, you can do it. No, crack on. I'm that person who's telling you, I believe in you, you can do it. And I'm building back that level of self-esteem back within yourself. Whereby internally, you've been telling yourself, I can't do it, I'm a failure. But on the outside, just smiling. And there's two of us, isn't there? Yes. There's the one that we show everyone, and there's one that's on the inside. You're the only one that sees the one on the inside. When you look in that mirror, you see yourself. So you know, I'm the guy that's trying to pull that out of you and say, no, let's go.
A lot of people don't want to face that.
No.
Because that's their ego being threatened. Right. No one likes their egos being threatened. Right. Everyone's got their own narrative. They're perfect in their own little world.
Exactly. When you come out of your house, I always say there's two people. There's two of us. There's a person when you come out, the person that you want everyone to see. This is me. This is Mr. Abbey. Look at me. Hey. Then when I shut my front door and it's only me, I have to deal with who I really am. Who's the real me? What are my problems? What am I facing? What have I got to deal with? I've got to deal with that on my own. And then when I come back out of the house the next day, I've got to put that. This is the Abbey I want everybody to see. Yes. And everybody's got that.
Yes.
And go ahead.
To varying degrees, I literally just did a YouTube video based on this exact thing, essentially. So, in my YouTube video, I drew...
Go and check it out. He's not plugging this thing enough. This guy's a G.
Alex Gem, YouTube. Go check out what channel I've done. Three different channels. Go check out the one that applies to you.
Go for it.
And in this video, Abby, what I do is I get people to write down how they view themselves when no one sees. Yeah, essentially, exactly what you said.
Yes.
And when you write down your beliefs, your likes, your dislikes, your thoughts, what emotions you experience on a daily basis, put the bullshit aside, put your ego aside.
That's right.
When you're honest with yourself, like And then on the separate side, on the other side, when you draw your a new physical shape and you write down the way you are perceived by others.
That's right.
What you show your likes into the world, what you don't show to the other world, the emotions that you don't show to the external world, that you keep within yourself. What I teach is that the discrepancy, the disparity between those two identities will determine your level of pain and affliction in your life.
150%. And I just love the way you break it down for me, bro. That's why I love working with you. Love that.
Dude, this is real.
It's real, people. If you're listening, this is real. This is real stuff.
And to alleviate stress, to increase your self-esteem, to become more disciplined, to appreciate yourself, to love yourself, you have to closely mimic those two selves. You have to be yourself everywhere.
Exactly.
And that's what true confidence is, being yourself in every happenstance.
Right.
And it's not easy.
It's not easy. And being at the age I'm at now, you know, I've been through a lot of stuff. And like I said, the journey is long and journey is hard. And it is not easy. But it is doable.
It's worth it.
It is worth it. It is doable. With the right set of people around you, with the right mindset, you know, we're going to the right places. And it's an individual choice of where I go, who I hang with, who I speak to, who I listen to, who do I follow? Who am I following? You've got to look at who it is that you're who's, you know, who do you follow? Who do you allow to lead you? And then you've got to look at these people and understand that they live in the way that you want to live. Because that's subconsciously, when you let go of the reins, is essentially what I do. When you come to the class in the morning,
standards.
you guys let go of the reins to me, and you let me take the reins, and you let me lead you to results land. That's exactly what I say.
Because there's that trust.
Because there's that trust. And at the end of the day, no matter what else is going on in my life, in that arena, you know I'm 150%. You know, in that space, in that place, because that's my dedication, that's my gift, that's what I do. So you can allow me to take the reins in that arena because you know you're in safe hands. And that's what I'm urging people to do. Ask yourselves, when you let somebody take the reins of your life, who you're listening to on the internet, who you're following, what pages you're listening to, what shows you're watching, you're letting go. When you're sitting down watching, essentially, I used to do it before. I used to be a fan of CSI and all these murder shows until I realised to myself, actually, I'm releasing the reins when I'm like chilling out to show that just it's all about killing.
Your vital energy force, your focus, your
attention it's going to the wrong area.
Yes.
So I had to cut that out of my life and say, I can't release my reins to that no more. Let me go to a motivational speaker on YouTube, or let me listen to some good music. And let the reins go there.
And that's how you become more disciplined. That's
150%.
How you become more disciplined. But, you know, playing devil's advocate, a lot of people will look at that kind of lifestyle and they'll think, you know what, but isn't that a bit too much? Isn't that excessive? Can't you just talk to anyone and everyone and just give up more time?
What value do you place on your health, your fitness and your mental health?
Yes.
How do you value it? Because that will determine the steps that you take.
And if you don't have a plan, you'll fall into someone else's plan.
Amen.
And they don't have the best intentions for you.
That's right.
More often than not, they won't. They want you to fall into their plan, to their narrative.
They've got a plan for you because they want to use you to their best advantage.
Yes.
Do you understand? They're not looking at helping you to progress. They're thinking, right, you ain't got a plan of your own, so come and sit in behind me and help me achieve what I want to achieve.
And it's all about recognizing real.
150%.
And that's why you follow and listen to certain people and you have certain mentors. Like you said, you have a PT.
Second.
You don't need a PT.
Yeah.
You personally, you're in great shape. You know the ins and outs. Why do you have a PT? To keep you humble. To keep you learning.
That's right.
To keep you on track.
That's right. And to essentially allow me, again, I like the analogy, to let the reins go. And what it is, at times, you've got to just go, right, and I don't want to have to think. What I want to do is I need to have trust in something or somebody, and they're going to lead me to where I need to go. And that's just going to allow me to go through the motions. Because at times, when we haven't got the discipline, at times when we don't have the motivation, that's what you're looking for. At times, I know there's loads of people that come to the classes and it's like, oh, I really don't want to come today. I really can't be bothered to come. But they know once they get there and they can just let go. They don't have to think about it. All of a sudden, we're off.
Yes.
And I'm pulling them along, and I'll do the work for you, and all you've got to do is drop in line, and it's the trust level again. It goes back to that trust level. The people have got to trust you. Once they trust you, they can let the reins go, and they will allow you to do what you've got to do. So essentially, people, you know, If the person's not right, the thing you're watching not right, the book you're reading not right, the places you're going are not right, you've got to ask yourself, what value do you place on your mental health, on your health and your fitness? Because these are the things that are essentially affecting the way you think, the things you say, everything about your whole makeup.
Yes, 100%. And it's essentially the analogy of being the rat on the wheel, if you will, continuously going around, and people get caught up in momentum with their emotions and so on and so forth. Right. And instead, what I teach, I'm fine.
Yeah, okay, go for it.
Instead, one of the things that I teach is the importance of transferring successes. All right, so let me explain what this means. I teach this as well. And what you mentioned earlier, sometimes people come to your class, they're exhausted, they're not in the zone, and it's your obligation as a great PT to get them in the zone.
That's right.
But people can get into the zone in different areas. For example, there are people who might come to your class not feeling at their best, not in their zone. But elsewhere in their lives, there are certain things that they do where they kick butt. It could be in their job, in their career, it could be with their family, with their kids. And they access certain states, their physiology, the way they breathe, the way they communicate with themselves, their eye contact, their intensity, or how calm they are. These submodalities are important. So when they come to your class, what I say is, when are you at your best in any aspect within your life? When are you at your peak? When you're smashing it, when you're in the zone, when you are in flow, and essentially bring those submodalities and bring that to training.
Yeah,
and that's what I do.
You've hit on something there. There's a few things you've hit on. You've lit some light bulbs up in my head there.
That's what I'm talking about.
Just going back to all right, pillars of life. Pillars. You've got the pillars of life, okay? Areas of your life, your relationship, your work, your finances, everything, your family, everything you've got to work at. And at different stages, they're all going to be at different stages at different points. Some are going to be on highs and some are going to be on lows. That's where life coaching really comes into it, because it allows you to think about certain areas and be specific and then make a plan for that particular area. And then once you've dealt with that area, you move on to the next area. And it's only after you've dealt with all these pillars of your life, okay, that you can be a whole person.
Yes.
And this is what people don't seem to understand. So you actually have to break it down. You actually have to go, right, where's my job situation? What's going on? Right, I want to deal with one thing. We can deal with one thing at a time. Deal with that situation. Once that situation's dealt with, you move on to the next thing. And you write your list of what it is that you need to deal with in your life. That's the way I see it.
But that's all about having a plan, having goals.
That's right.
And linking it back to being disciplined and organised. Right. It's about having short-term goals, medium-term goals, and long-term goals.
Definitely.
Long-term goals lasting from, say, 5 years onwards. Short-term goals lasting days to months. And medium-term goals, lasting several months to a few years, essentially. But you need that. But you need to start with the last goal, the long-term goal. Yeah. Where are you looking to get to?
What do you want out of life?
Yes.
That's essentially the question you ask yourself. What and you never know really. You might think that something's your goal and it might not be. You don't know where something's going to take you. And you've got to be fluid.
You've got to take action.
You've got to be fluid as well. You've got to take action and be fluid and go with the flow. Have an open mind. You might think you're going left and you know what, life might take you right.
Yes.
What do? You've got to be able to adjust accordingly.
I say be water. Be like water. Be flexible. You can fit in everything.
Be like water. Like I said, I mean, it's crazy just talking about that. A lot of people don't realise that. I'm not sure if I've told you this, that when I went for my spin instructor course, I actually turned around and said to the guy, you must be crazy. This is not for me. Because I was focused on just being a PT. And he turned around and said, no, Abby, listen, you're getting in there and you're going to do this. And he had to literally force me through the door. And I was saying, no, this isn't for, I'm a macho guy, I'm a boxer. What are you talking about?
You labelled yourself.
I labelled myself.
Your identity.
And so my goal, or this goal that I was going towards, it was like, nah, this is where I'm going and you can't deter me. This is why I said, you've got to be fluid with it. Yeah. The guy said, no, this is what you're going to do. And lo and behold, I went into the room and listen, let me emphasise again. This guy literally turned around and said, if I don't get in that room, I'm not going to pass you in the course. It was one of those ones. He literally, I've got to thank this guy, he literally made me get in that room. And when I got in the room, I started doing it. I thought, okay, this ain't too bad. Yeah. And literally, now, 9 and 10 years down the line, I have to turn around and say to that guy, if not for him, we wouldn't be here where we are now. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. And the point I'm trying to make is, I had to be fluid. Sometimes I had to be forced to be fluid, but essentially what I'm saying is you've got to open every single door. Sometimes you might not want to go through that door. Sometimes it's like you might think this isn't for me, but you have to be fluid because you don't know what lies behind the door unless you knock.
Yeah.
Unless you knock on that door, you don't know what's there. And that's kind of like where I'm going with that.
Problem is, a lot of people are fearful of knocking on doors
Of course
because of
they
the fear
are.
of the unknown.
We
How they're
talked
going to be
We
perceived.
talked about comfort zone last week. It always goes back to that. People are comfortable. They're happy with what they've got, happy with where you are. And I'm telling you, you will not achieve results. Don't live there. A result in any area of your life does not live in your comfort zone, like we said last week.
Because if you're not getting better, you are in essence getting worse. No one stagnates. If you're stagnating, you're getting worse.
You're going backwards,
yes,
mate.
constantly
Because
learning,
time's moving.
constantly getting better, keeping yourself on your toes, metaphorically
That's right.
speaking, or literally depending on what you're doing.
150%. 100%. But I mean, I'd just like to just want to know a little about you, your fitness journey. Where did it start for you? I just want to learn a bit. I want to know.
All right, so I was quite obese as a teenager.
There you go. Right, here we go.
Teenager going through puberty. I was quite large, I must say, and I had a best friend who was quite large as well, and he started to lose weight and so on and so forth. So I had him as a bit of a mentor, if you will.
Right, okay.
My older brother was quite macho, big muscles, these sort of things. He was getting in really good shape. I was like, damn, I want to be like my older brother.
Okay.
So then I went to it, and when I started, I couldn't run 60 yards.
Yeah.
I looked at it, and it felt like 60 yards felt like 60 days worth
of running. I know.
And the smallest thing took a lot of mental effort.
Yeah.
And I had so many limiting beliefs. Bless me, I was young, adolescent and all sorts. And then there was a switch, and this is the moral, essentially, what I want to move to here, is that what was once perceived to be a weakness can become your biggest strength.
150%.
And my physical shape and my physical capabilities as a teenager was one of my biggest weaknesses. And I'm a bit of an extremist, not gonna lie. I push things to extremes.
I get it.
I've got that mentality, but I've developed that.
Yeah.
Like a muscle, a mental muscle.
I would never have believed you was going to say that, looking at how fit you are, looking at the way you're pushing all these classes, with your Muay Thai and your kickboxing and all that stuff. Amazing, bro. Amazing.
I'll do my best. But
Amazing.
You know what? The Muay Thai, the kickboxing, all those fun things, like that teaches me to be water.
Yeah, 100%.
Fluidity, moving.
I'm like
moving with
myself.
the punches, literally.
100%.
And I carry that into life. I do a lot of stretching and all these sorts of things before my classes and so on. And it's because I'm not doing it for my physical body, actually.
That's right.
I'm doing it for my brain.
For your brain.
It's all about being flexible, open-minded. Challenging yourself, because there's a reason why the older we get, the more we become a set of memorized beliefs. After the age of 35, we become a set of memorized beliefs, perceptions, behaviors.
You're set in your ways.
You set in your ways, you accept it, and you become stubborn.
That's right.
I don't want to be like that. I want to be a 60, 70, 80, 90 year old.
Yeah,
hopefully if we live that long.
100. We will. We're living that long, brother. I'd sponge you got coronas, bro.
No, maybe a couple of elbows.
Elbow sponge, elbow.
Not too hard.
Yeah.
We're not doing Muay Thai now. Take it easy on me, Abby. I know I'm an extremist, but geez, we've got a podcast when it's finished.
No, don't worry.
But it's about continuing that journey. Being flexible, challenging yourself, and I love to. I'm very open-minded, and I am competitive. But I've taught myself not to be competitive with others, but to be competitive with my own potential.
That's the biggest journey. That's the only competition you've got with what you're doing now and what you're capable of doing.
Because
that's your journey. Not against someone like myself or someone else who can do more than you. People get it wrong. It's what you're doing now and what you're capable of doing, because you might never ever be the fastest man in the world, but you might be able to run 100 meters in a certain time that you're not running now. You might be able to train yourself to run at that time. So it's about where you are now, your own journey.
And I say this a million times, like as you mentioned, someone who's got that business mind. Who would you like to take on board of your team? Someone who's incredibly talented but incredibly lazy.
That's right.
Or someone who wasn't born gifted, not necessarily too intelligent, but incredible work ethic. And I will take the incredible work ethic, the hard worker, every single time, because they won't stagnate. They will find a way to win, learn, to develop. Whereas the talented person with these great skills, there's only one way for them, and it's down.
Well, I'll ask you about your fitness journey because I wanted to touch on a point that says, look, the journey doesn't change. It's always hard. And the consistency may not always be there in life. I've been training almost 30 years, over 30 years now. And there are times when I lose my mojo and I've got to get it back. And every time you lose your mojo, it is as though you've just started training again. So that's the thing. People think to themselves that, you know, as a trainer or as somebody that's been doing it for so long, that it's on automatic. No, because if I get into the gym after having a month off or 6 weeks off because something's happened, I'm not at the level that I was at 6 weeks ago. So mentally, I've got to break through that thing of oh my God, damn, I can't do what I used to do. It's a setback. So the point I'm trying to make is it's as though you've just started again. So I get people's pain. I understand it when it's difficult to get back into things or to even get started. But the journey is all about pushing through. It's all about pushing through. It's all about having that mental thing in your head of knowing where you want to go, knowing why. What's your why? Why are you doing this?
It's all about the why.
It's all about the why.
Reasons reap results. Jim
there
Quick,
you go.
Someone that
And
very
at
well
the end of the day,
known
if you're trying to get in shape, people, because you want to go to Ibiza to have a six-pack on the beach, or a lady, you want to wear that bikini, those are 150% the wrong reasons. Because that why is not going to hold any power. You understand? Because once the holiday's gone, your why's gone with it.
Exactly. I'm right about that as well.
You get what I'm saying to you?
We've got a lot of things we need to be doing together.
We're hitting some original Pepe. We're doing Pepe.
This is the real stuff.
You know what I mean?
This is it.
This is it.
These are the challenges people face.
So at the end of the day, again, so that journey is the same. So, I mean, I started calisthenics a while back while I was in Dubai. And again, it was like, imagine like you've been training all this time and you've got these guys who are half your age and they're doing these mad things. I actually literally felt like I was somebody who's been in the gym for the first time.
Yeah.
I'm not even lying to you. And it was like I was looking at these guys in awe, thinking, my God, look what these guys are doing. And then I had to have a go, and it was almost embarrassing. It's laughable. And it was like the only thing that kept me going was, no, I could do this. It was like, I always say lion power. That's my slogan. # lion power. It's like, I'm never, ever going to give up. That's me. I've trained myself to think like that. And that's what I try and instill in everybody who comes to my classes, who does personal training. Never give up. There's no failure, guys. There's only giving up. No matter whatever you want to do, there's no failure. And I carried on until one day, after like working with them for a little while, I could do a muscle up. And I could almost do half a half human flag. And I was like, wow, look at that. And then it's like, but what it did for me, was it allowed me once again to see the journey that a lot of people go through. Where you feel inadequate. Where you go into the gym and you don't know how to use the machines. Yes. When you feel like, oh, everyone's doing the absolute most and you can't do it. Guys, I felt it. I was there, and I always like to put myself in challenging situations because I never want to stop feeling like that, feeling what people feel like, because that's the journey that allows you to grow. Okay? You mustn't be frightened of that journey. You've got to embrace that journey because that's growth. And as you push through that point when you step into the gym where you don't know anyone, and you feel so embarrassed because you got to ask somebody to, how do you use this or how do you use that? Listen, if you turn away and you go back, you're going backwards. If you keep persevering and you keep on going through it, it will only get better. And so that's what I'm trying to say. That's the point I wanted to get across about the fitness journey. It never gets any easier. And you've got to always put yourself in challenge. Again, out of the comfort zone, it always comes back to that. Put yourself in challenging situations and push through. Because you will always grow. Growth is key, people. Yes. Growth is key. And
I want several things I want to share as well. Touching upon what you said, I use the analogy of, a baby learning to walk. I mean, how many times, Abby, will you let a baby try and walk until you actually say, you know what, walking's not for you? Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
That's right.
You can let them keep going until they get the job done. It could take 100 goes, 1,000 goes, 1,000,000 goes.
That's right.
And the same applies to us as adults. Right. We all start from somewhere.
That's right.
And that's the key. It's one step at a time, which is one of the things that I took from what you were sharing there. And I mean, even before that, you mentioned really what's muscle memory. You said abstaining from training for six weeks, for example, and getting back into it.
That's right.
Your muscles will come back, but there's also something called, and people
pay
attention to the mental
thing.
muscle,
yes.
mental memory.
That's right.
And I have it when I'm exercising, for example, Abby. Whereas I've pushed myself so much during some workouts in the past that when I'm pushing myself now in a workout, you can sometimes see me just laughing at myself.
That's right.
Because I know the mental process that you're going, you're tired, do you want to give up? Do you want to stop now?
Yeah.
These sort, and I'm laughing at myself going, because of the things I've gone through in the past with training in the gym, this is nothing. It feels bad, but it's nothing.
I know. I mean, look, I've got some unorthodox methods when training, and I can't even really go into them on live.
Explicit podcast. Wait for that one, guys.
But my clients know the kind of things that I say to you. If those that are going to listen, you know how I go in. You know the things I whisper into your ear, and that's why they come to me, because I'm not here to mess about with you. I've got to open up your mindset. And what it is people don't come to me because they want somebody who's going to go, "Hey, you okay? How you doing?" They come because I'm going to say, "Oh, listen, come here. Let me tell you something." And they're going to look at me like they've said, "What did you just say?" That's right. And they're going to get mad. Because that anger, then they've got to look at you and think, do I respect this guy? Did he say this because he's being horrible to me? Or did he say it because he wants the best for me? And I can see the look in their eye. And they're like, and I'm looking at them. And they're like, and then they get it done. And they get it done.
Let me kick off from it. Because I have the potential to forget this shit.
Go in.
When you're training people, what will happen is, when we're exercising or being in health, for you who are interested in other things, like when you're working on a project or something within your business or your career, what have you, what happens is we run certain patterns.
That's right.
And when people are running patterns, for example, the example you gave here of someone training and you go and whisper in their ear, they're expecting you to say, "Listen, you're doing so well.
Yeah,
I'm proud of you. This is okay. Take a breather."
That's
but
what you
do, what you do though, Abby, is you've broken their pattern.
Yeah.
Because they're expecting one thing and you gave them the other. So you intercepted within their pattern here, and that's what enables change.
That's right.
And so by saying something that sparks their anger or their energy or their motivation, you've helped to break their boundaries.
When they're looking for praise, I told them they ain't done nothing yet.
Yes.
When you think you've achieved, I tell you haven't done nothing, because I know you got more.
Yes.
Do you understand? If you're going to turn around and give me 10 reps or something, and it's going to be easy, I'm saying you've done nothing, give me 20, that's rubbish. And I'll tell you haven't done anything, because psychologically, you are living within your own limitations, and the elder people know that. You know you got more, and you're looking for praise when you haven't done anything yet. You know you can do so much more. So I give them the negative. I say to them, "You ain't done nothing. I'm not happy with that. That's rubbish." Yeah, but more explicitly.
but to be fair, you're indirectly giving them a compliment.
Well, yeah.
Because if you know someone's weak or something, then you're more likely to build their confidence. "Oh, it's okay. Right. Well done. It's your first gym session in a year."
Differently. But well, I have to get to know them before I can.
No, but what I'm saying is the fact that you're being harsh with them.
Yeah.
Because you're harsh with me all the time. And I'll tell you,
sorry, bro. Sorry, man. It's all love,
really
bro.
rude sometimes.
You might
think I'm some macho guy. I might have a little cry every now and then because of you, Abby. But
I'm in the zone, people.
You're giving me a compliment.
Yeah, that's
because you're saying you are limitless. Like you can go to that next level.
100%. And that's what it is. What it is it's really crazy, guys. I don't want to speak to the Spin Army now. I know a lot of you listening to this. Look, I say in the class, I come up to your bike and I'll say, "Well, I want this RPM, I want this, I want that." And I'll be watching you from behind your bike and you're not hitting it. You're not hitting the target. Yeah. And then as soon as you see me on your shoulder and I say, "No, come on." And I literally watch the RPM go up, and I'm literally watching that person who was, let's say I want 140. The person might be at 110 and they're coasting and they think they're doing the most. And I say, "No, come on. And you all know. Don't lie. I know you're going to smile when you listen to this. You know, by magic, you get to that 140. And I say, "Yes!"
Yes.
And that's just me showing you. And I say, "Look, you needed somebody to come and go, out, move it. Keep on going." Yes. What you think is acceptable, or what you think is your maximum, is not, because you've got that pain barrier. I use the pinch analogy. Sorry to just put this one in. The pinch analogy. If I pinch myself, I can only take so much self-inflicted pain, because I'm inflicting it upon myself. Now, Ellie, if I ask you to pinch me, what will happen is you have no idea what my pain barrier is, how it feels. So you will go and you push past what I would take on my own. Yes. So you'll keep squeezing, and automatically I want to take more. Yes. Because I won't do it to myself. I would have stopped a long time ago. Do you understand? Yes, yes. So sometimes it takes somebody to get you moving, to give you a good kick,
to help you learn something that you never knew you had.
So those bad words, people, they're not horrible. And people say you must look like you enjoy your job. No, I'm in a zone when I'm doing my stuff. And if we're lucky enough to bond and PT together, and we get in that zone, some of you see the videos when we're in a zone, the banter's great, and I'm in a zone with people. And what it is always, it's just moving. And that's the easiest way I can put it in, is that, you know, we bond. There's got to be a respect level there, and we get out of that comfort zone. Sorry to go back to last week's podcast, but we get out of that comfort zone, and you allow me to take you to the gates of results land.
Yes,
that's what we say.
Beautiful metaphor. The gates of results land.
Gates of results
stolen
land.
that now.
But then listen, the gatekeeper's gonna take you. They take you your measurements, and he's gonna go, right, what have you put in? He might still send you back.
Yes,
I can only get you to the gates.
Yes,
What you've done is your work rate has got to get you through those gates.
Saying something very valuable there, and going back slightly, when you're saying when people are training, for example, and they're spinning, and you're seeing from afar what they're doing.
That's right.
And when you walk closer and they know you're there upon
exactly.
them, that's when they turn it up. You might even want to say to them, no, go back to what you were doing.
Yeah. No. You're giving me
Don't change
something.
for me.
Guys.